where horror lies.
Rob Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe. It is week 484 here at BodyBags, and I am your Wednesday reviewer. Have been, will continue to be. How long? Who knows about these things. You know, I really I get minorly annoyed when the set screen does not have some sort of music there going on, and it's just me hearing my voice talking to you about one of the greatest $10 buys I can remember in recent memory. Maybe we are still here. Was it just an insane love letter to Fulci. This movie, man. But I mean, every once in a while, you can spend only 10, 12 bucks and not know it, but upon watching, realize that that's some of the best dang 12, and these days, I mean, I can't do what a lot of, what a lot of others do in terms of picking up stuff all the time. I just can't do that anymore. But this, I can't remember. I heard about this somewhere and it was on my radar. And then lo and behold, one day, noticed it was on Walmart and it was only 10 bucks. I highly suggest, before I even tell you what this movie's about, you ought to pick this up. If you see this at Walmart, it's only like 10 bucks. And you like Spanish film, subtitled, that doesn't bother you. But this is, it's funny, one of the things on the back that took me off, sort of off guard, and I don't know how much this really lives up to this, but it was a visceral blend of Carrie and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I can see why you put Carrie on there. Why you put Texas Chainsaw, I'm not sure. I mean, Pighead horror, we do get a pig head at the first opening framing shots, which is pretty cool because the girl here, Sarah, the girl in question, works, helps out her parents in a butcher shop, I guess it is. I've only watched this one time. I watched it late last night, and I'll say this. I'm getting up there to the point where it is hard for me to put stuff on that late at night and not fall asleep halfway through. Not because the movie's bad, but just simply because I just can't do that anymore like I used to. But let me tell you what, from the opening framing shots of this, I was in right to the very, very end and even let the credits roll to its final finish. This movie kept me, and I put this in about, well, it was still kind of early. It was 9-ish, and that's really early. But still, I mean, been a long weekend. I was kind of tired. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it through, and I was really hoping against hope that I wouldn't have a problem falling asleep, and there was no problem with this. Man, you get sucked in, and maybe reading the subtitles helps, at least at night, but this poor girl, Sarah, man, it really does bring you back to Carrie, the original Carrie, in the sense of just how you felt for that poor girl. And man, what this girl endures in just the opening 20 minutes of the movie, I guess, with just, she is constantly in the present moment, online, social media. She is constantly getting abused, verbally abused by her because of her weight. And she's called Piggy. They call her Piggy, Fatso, and they just come up with all of this stuff. And behind her back or in front of her face on social media, they also denigrate her parents, who are just clinging. Really, they are on their last days of running this shop because, quite frankly, people just aren't coming in and buying fresh, meat, cut up meat and stuff like it did in the eldest. Now, this is a Spanish film, and so there's a lot of interesting things in here in terms of that. But she is just brutally and you feel for her. Now, this is I'm pretty sure she's like a 36-year-old woman who plays Sarah, our main protagonist, and what she goes through, man. She does this. It's funny. I had a really hard time. Is this a teenage girl? Seriously? Really? She's 36 in real life. That is a little hard, but if you just let it roll, and just let yourself go with it, you cannot not feel sad for this girl. And so here's the crux of the story. She goes to the pool. I think she feels like everyone, it's a public pool. Everyone's pretty much cleared out. And of course, she's in her bikini and everything. And she's not so abused. I mean, she is, but she's still willing to go to a public pool, at least after hours, and be in a bikini, and which takes a lot of courage. to do, right? Especially when you don't know when, or when this bullying and stuff's going to come. There's a stranger, and he is only known as the stranger, who is also at this pool still. And the girls, though, do show up. There are three. Claudia, Rosie, and Maca. I think that's how you say the three names. But there are three. Claudia, I think, is closer to her. She's supposed to be that I'm your friend thing. But she'll go with the other two, even when the other two are just punishing Sarah to no end, aka Piggy. I don't want to keep saying that. It is so demeaning. But poor Sarah, man. So they happen to be still hanging around that pool area, and they noticed Sarah in there, and so, man, they just start. And if it's not enough, they take her clothes, they take her bag, they take everything from her, and leave her there to basically walk home. After they physically sort of bullying her with a fishing net kind of thing. But the stranger lurks on. And you don't know his intentions, but man, his intentions are going to be made known real quick, because they vacate the area and leave. Eventually, Sarah, in a panic of just absolute, she is just, you just feel for this girl. She ends up making her way home, bare feet, in a bikini, not even a towel to put around her. And she gets bullied and hassled along the way by other people. And it's just like, it just makes you feel so. But she witnesses the stranger has kidnapped those three girls, and she's got a real moral dilemma. Now, these girls have inflicted so much pain on her. She makes the choice to keep zip and let it be. In fact, she pretty much says F off. Let it be. They got what they got coming. But then weird things start happening. Of course, she has a very hard time keeping this to herself. And so the tension begins to build when, the missing girls, panic starts to ensue with parents. They know Sarah. They start putting pressure on her family. The looking for. Eventually, Sarah will take it upon herself. And since her phone has been stolen, and she assumes the stranger has it now, she utilizes her parents' phone to follow the app to follow her phone. She gets out there, and of course, there's a slight run-in with the family members that are out there in the woods now looking, who are attemptingly trying the same trick. Her paths will cross with the stranger, and that's when the weird thing happens. Man, it's like he takes an interest in her. She takes a subtle but cautious interest in him, and he seems to be the first person who ever, as a guy figure, right, who really takes interest in her and uses a compassionate voice and everything. And she knows what this guy's doing. She knows this guy's a psychopath. But this is where the line of her abuse and her intrigue in him and his intrigue in her, that's where the line sort of gets really sort of blurry, and you start to realize the impact that abuse can have on someone, and where they can find that attention ultimately is really, 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 really scary when you think about it. And then I don't want to go too much past that, but from that point, things will continue on to a head where you will have resolution by the end. And man, I'm telling you, there is a torture scene, and you just see what these girls have gone through. One of them, I'm pretty sure, has already been killed. Spoiler a little bit, right? But by the end of the film, there are still two survivors, and the head comes really when Sarah, the stranger, and these poor girls who are, he's probably gonna, kill him at some point here soon. All three sort of converge in a nuts of an end movie. I was impressed. I was impressed with the cinematography. I was impressed with the music. I was impressed with the acting. I was impressed with this. It just had it's sort of a similar feel and vibe of other things, but it had a really fresh take, and it really explored areas of bullying via social media and just the internal workings of her own family. Now, they are Spanish. Now, some would say she's being abused not only by, her so-called friends and whatnot, but even by her family members. That I take a little, I don't know, because I had a friend from Portugal, and be it late now or not, they do things the old school way. And so a lot of times how they their inner family dynamics, we may just see or maybe just assume as some sort of verbal abuse or some type of neglect when it really isn't. In a sense, it's just old school, old. Now there are, if anything, mom is really guilty. Sarah's mom is really, and there's a surprise there, man. There is also ahead of something that happens in Sarah's home, and that's where it just you take so many quick little turns and stuff, and you don't really know where you're going to end up, and that's sort of kind of neat in a way. And but there is some like really climactic moment that kind of propels you to the end that is just psychotic, man. It is psychotic, and you just know this stranger is absolutely psychotic. But you just, it's not that mom neglects her entirely or abuses her verbally, or dad. It's just, this is a different culture. This is a different inner working and just old school way of mom being mom and dad being bad. There is a moment when mom really does come to her defense, even though this defense is maybe a little bit too little too late, in terms of Sarah's perspective on all of this. Like, where have you been all this time? Now you're gonna step up to the plate. You've never been here for me, and all this. In fact, it's almost kind of like a willful blindness to what's happening to their daughter. And maybe a lot of it rests in the fact that they're clinging to the last days of their butcher shop, and who knows what lies after that. How would they make money? How would they bring in money? I mean, there's all those kind of social economic questions as well that we have to consider. And so, the judgment is, she is abused, she is bullied, she is online, social media. She can't leave the house without being bullied. The bullying comes into the stupid shop, although done very discreetly and very subtly. It is still hard hitting nonetheless, because her parents are blind, and if that's their biggest crime, it's almost like a willful blindness, because there are other more pressing things. And yet, what can be more pressing than your relationship to your own children and upbringing of your own children, right? It's I don't know, man. This dude, $10. Come on, we're always complaining about not getting fresh stuff, fresh angles, new things. This movie, man, this movie's got the violence, it's got the tension, it's just the questions of the day in terms of what kind of abuse is happening online, social medias, and all that kind of stuff. And then it just kind of leads you to this place, and then finally, ultimately, you arrive at the very end, and it's just like, dang! I'm telling you, man. 10:30, almost 11 at night, man. I was watching this thing unfold, and I was like, dang. Now, the very end sort of leaves a kind of a weird open question in terms of the fate of her character, in terms of who is she going to be as an adult? Is she going to move past this crazy string of events that will happen? And so, but that is a lot really for our interpretation and wondering, right? And that's why some movies are so really freaking good, especially foreign movies, because they can take cliches that we're so used to ad nauseum, and they can kind of spin it in fresh ways that is fresh. And I'm just trying to keep my screen from going off. That is so distracting to me. But anyway, so I'm just going to wrap it up there. I can't say enough of this. I was so freaking impressed with this movie. First time watch, one watch. Now, it's the type of movie I may not jump right back into again, just because it's so hard hitting, and it really does, man, it just makes you feel for this poor girl. But man, it is wow. With things the way they are today, if you're just looking for a cost-effective, dare I say cheap, way to spend $10, but hopefully be extremely rewarded with what this product is. Magnet, Magnet just has a whole line of films they put out. Man, you can't go wrong with this film. In America here, it's been marketed as Piggy. Cerdita, I think it's the Spanish. Carlota, Pereda. It's based on a short. And I didn't see the short, but I would imagine if this thing ever gets a really awesome, and maybe has Blu-ray release, maybe that short will be included. That would be pretty cool. It's not included with this release. There's really nothing in here but some trailers for other Magnet releases. But yeah, let's just leave it at there, man. I'm under the 15 to keep it there. Great film, man. Great, absolutely just fun. I mean, fun in the sense of sort of new and stuff, and just yeah, we'll leave it at there, man. As always, go Bills.
This is not a dream.